The Dark Empire, Rebellion of the Mystic Stones. Scary story. The night was dark and stormy, and the wind howled through the trees. The 6 friends huddled together in their tent, trying to ignore the ominous sounds outside. They had been camping in the forest near Fairview, Ohio, for a week, enjoying their summer vacation before they had to go back to school. They had found the 6 gemstones on their first day, hidden in a cave that seemed to glow with a mysterious light. They had been fascinated by the gems, which emitted dazzling lights in various colors: pink, red, purple, green, yellow, and blue. They had each taken one, feeling a strange connection to the stones. They had soon discovered that the gemstones were not ordinary rocks, but powerful artifacts that granted them incredible abilities. They had been transported to a nebula, where they had met the mystic starlight guardian angels who had explained their destiny. They were the chosen ones, the galactic fighting force, who had to defend the galaxy from the evil Nendruakkian Empire. They had been given powers that represented hope, justice, courage, faith, love, and wisdom, and had been taught how to use them by their angelic mentors. They had returned to Earth, ready to face their enemies and protect their planet. But they had not expected the Nendruakkian Empire to be so ruthless and relentless. They had been attacked by their commanders, who had challenged them to duels and tried to steal their gemstones. They had fought bravely, using their powers and teamwork to overcome their foes. But they had also suffered losses and injuries, and had realized that their enemies were not to be underestimated. They had learned that the Nendruakkian Empire was led by a tyrant named Lord Nendruak, who had conquered many worlds and enslaved many races. He had a dark plan to unleash a cosmic weapon that would destroy the galaxy and create a new one in his image. He had also learned of the prophecy that foretold of the galactic fighting force, and had sworn to eliminate them before they could stop him. The friends had decided to take a break from their battles, and had gone camping in the forest where they had found the gemstones. They had hoped to relax and recharge, and to bond with each other and their angels. They had also hoped to learn more about the prophecy and the weapon, and to find a way to stop Lord Nendruak. But they had not been able to escape the danger and the fear that haunted them. They had been plagued by nightmares, visions of destruction and death. They had also noticed that the forest had changed, becoming darker and more sinister, as if something evil was lurking in the shadows. They had tried to ignore the signs and to focus on the positive aspects of their situation. They had each other, and they had their gemstones, and they had their angels. They had a noble cause, and they had a chance to save the galaxy. They had faith in their destiny, and they had hope for the future. But they could not deny the feeling that something terrible was about to happen, something that would test their courage, strength, and friendship like never before. They were about to find out how right they were. The storm had started suddenly, without warning. The sky had turned black, and the thunder had roared. The rain had poured down, and the lightning had flashed. The friends had rushed to their tent, hoping to find shelter and safety. But they had soon realized that they were not alone in the forest. They had heard footsteps and growls and screams. They had seen shadows and eyes and claws. They had felt fear and pain and dread. They were under attack. The Nendruakkian Empire had found them and had sent their most vicious and bloodthirsty creatures to hunt them down. They were the Nendruakkian beasts, monstrous hybrids of animals and machines, enhanced by dark magic and technology. They were loyal to Lord Nendruak, and they hated the galactic fighting force. They had one mission: to kill them and take their gemstones. The friends had no time to react, no time to prepare, no time to escape. They had only time to fight, to survive, to protect each other. They had grabbed their gemstones and had activated their powers. They had shouted their names and their elements and their mottos. They had transformed into their galactic fighting force forms, wearing their suits and their helmets and wielding their weapons. They had faced the Nendruakkian beasts and had fought them with all their might. But they were outnumbered and outmatched and overwhelmed. The Nendruakkian beasts were too fast, too strong, too savage. They had torn through their tent and had attacked them from all sides. They had bitten and scratched and slashed. They had drawn blood and broken bones and inflicted wounds. They had shown no mercy and no remorse and no fear. The friends had tried to resist, to retaliate, to repel. They had used their powers and their skills and their strategies. They had fired beams and blasts and bolts. They had swung swords and axes and maces. They had thrown stars and daggers and discs. They had shown courage and determination and defiance. But they were not enough, and they knew it. They had felt their energy and their confidence and their hope fading. They had seen their friends and their angels and their gemstones falling. They had heard their screams and their cries and their pleas. They had known fear and despair and agony. They were losing, and they knew it. They were dying, and they knew it. They were doomed, and they knew it. And they wondered if this was the end, if this their fate, if this was the prophecy. The storm raged on, and the battle continued. The 6 friends fought for their lives against the Nendruakkian beasts, who showed no signs of stopping. They had lost their tent, their supplies, their communication devices, and their hope. They had only their gemstones, their powers, and their friends. But they were not sure if they would be enough to save them. They had tried to stick together, to support each other, to protect each other. But they had been separated by the chaos, by the enemies, by the forest. They had lost sight of each other and had lost contact with each other. They had no idea if their friends were alive or injured or captured. They had no idea if they were alone or surrounded or hunted. They had no idea what to do or where to go or how to escape. They had only their instincts their courage, and their will. But they were not sure if they would be enough to guide them. Layla, the pink galactic fighting force, wielder of the gemstone of hope, ran through the forest, dodging the branches, the rocks, and the beasts. She had lost her sword, her helmet, and her angel. She had only her gemstone, her suit, and her power. But she was not sure if they would be enough to defend her. She had tried to find her friends, to help them, to save them. But she had been chased by the beasts, by the commanders, by the fear. She had no choice but to run, to hide, to survive. She had no idea if she would ever see her friends again, or if they would ever see her again. She had no idea if she would ever get out of the forest, or if she would ever get back to the nebula. She had no idea if she would ever fulfill her destiny, or if she would ever stop Lord Nendruak. She had only her hope, her optimism, and her faith, but she was not sure if they would be enough to sustain her. Kevin, the red galactic fighting force, wielder of the gemstone of justice, fought in the clearing against the beasts, the commanders, and the odds. He had lost his axe, his suit, and his power. He had only his gemstone, his helmet, and his will. But he was not sure if they would be enough to resist them. He had tried to fight them, to challenge them, to defeat them. But he had been overpowered by the numbers, by the strength, by the pain. He had no choice but to fight, to struggle, to endure. He had no idea if he would ever win the battle, or if he would ever win the war. He had no idea if he would ever avenge his angel, or if he would ever honor his gemstone. He had no idea if he would ever uphold justice, or if he would ever face Lord Nendruak. He had only his justice, his courage, and his pride. But he was not sure if they would be enough to motivate him. Amber, the purple galactic fighting force, wielder of the gemstone of courage, hid in the cave, behind the rocks and the darkness and the silence. She had lost her mace, her power, and her friend. She had only her gemstone, her suit, and her angel. But she was not sure if they would be enough to comfort her. She had tried to escape them, to evade them, to elude them. But she had been trapped by the cave, by the rocks, by the fear. She had no choice but to hide, to wait, to hope. She had no idea if she would ever find a way out, or if she would ever find her friend. She had no idea if she would ever reunite with her team, or if she would ever reunite with her power. She had no idea if she would ever regain her courage, or if she would ever face Lord Nendruak. She had only her courage, her determination, and her loyalty. But she was not sure if they would be enough to inspire her. Tommy, the green galactic fighting force, wielder of the gemstone of faith, climbed the tree, above the ground, and the water, and the fire. He had lost his disc, his suit, and his power. He had only his gemstone, his helmet, and his angel. But he was not sure if they would be enough to protect him. He had tried to avoid them, to distract them, to trick them, but he had been cornered by the fire, by the water, by the fear. He had no choice but to climb, to jump, to fly. He had no idea if he would ever land safely, or if he would ever land at all. He had no idea if he would ever recover his power, or if he would ever recover his disc. He had no idea if he would ever restore his faith, or if he would ever face Lord Nendruak. He had only his faith, his intelligence, and his humor. But he was not sure if they would be enough to amuse him. Sophie, the yellow galactic fighting force, wielder of the gemstone of love, swam in the river, under the bridge, and the rocks, and the beasts. She had lost her dagger, her helmet, and her power. She had only her gemstone, her suit, and her angel, but she was not sure if they would be enough to support her. She had tried to follow them, to catch them, to stop them, but she had been pushed by the current, by the rocks, by the fear. She had no choice but to swim, to dive, to breathe. She had no idea if she would ever reach the shore, or if she would ever reach her friend. She had no idea if she would ever regain her power, or if she would ever regain her dagger. She had no idea if she would ever express her love, or if she would ever face Lord Nendruak. She had only her love, her compassion, and her kindness. But she was not sure if they would be enough to warm her. Gerald, the blue galactic fighting force, wielder of the gemstone of wisdom, lay on the ground, among the leaves, and the blood, and the beasts. He had lost his star, his suit, and his angel. He had only his gemstone, his helmet, and his power, but he was not sure if they would be enough to heal him. He had tried to help them, to heal them, to save them, but he had been wounded by the claws, by the teeth, by the fear. He had no choice but to lay, to bleed, to die. He had no idea if he would ever see his friends again, or if he would ever see his angel again. He had no idea if he would ever use his power again, or if he would ever use his star again. He had no idea if he would ever share his wisdom again, or if he would ever face Lord Nendruak. He had only his wisdom, his knowledge, and his insight. But he was not sure if they would be enough to enlighten him. The storm subsided, and the battle ended. The 6 friends lay on the ground, among the trees, and the rocks, and the beasts. They had lost their weapons, their suits, and their angels. They had only their gemstones, their helmets, and their powers. But they were not sure if they would be enough to revive them. They had tried to live, to hope, to dream, but they had been defeated by the storm, by the beasts, by the fear. They had no choice but to die, to fade, to end. They had no idea if they had fulfilled their destiny or if they had stopped Lord Nendruak. They had no idea if they had saved the galaxy or if they had doomed the universe. They had no idea if they had made a difference or if they had made a mistake. They had only their gemstones, their powers, and their friends. But they were not sure if they would be enough to remember them. The end. Thank you for joining us for this spine-tingling story. We hope you found it both thrilling and thought-provoking. If you enjoyed this video, please consider participating in our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing it with your friends. Your support goes a long way in helping us create more engaging content for you. Goodbye, and may you always tread carefully in the world of the unknown.